So I have a 90% rule, which is that you don't aim for perfection. We all want to keep growing our businesses, but then we get to that next stage of growth and we hit that revenue target that we've got, and then we go, I still need to scale more. Like there's this need, and I think that the cost of doing business are pushing that pressure on a lot of businesses that you have to grow to survive. As soon as we came out of COVID, I looked at the size of that team and I was like, I can't afford to keep that size team in this business any longer. So we really looked at how to systemize that team. I think we've spent about 300,000 on this system project. We tested it out in New Zealand, like the technology we rolled out, and it failed.
You're listening to The Ultimate Leader's Edge, where we explored the mindset and methods behind great leadership. Today I'm joined by my good friend and long-term client, Kelly Baker-Jamieson, founder and managing director of Edible Blooms, one of Australia's most loved gifting brands. Back in 2005, Kelly started the business with her sister Abby, turning a bold idea, chocolate and fruit bouquets, into a company that quickly hit 1 million in its first year. Today we'll dive into leadership, scaling a business, and the lessons behind building a brand that truly connects with people. Kelly, my friend, welcome to The Ultimate Leader's Edge. Awesome. Thank you, my beautiful friend, for joining us. This is, I feel like this is like one of our morning conversations. And
I know,
so,
we just need some wine.
We just have to remember
or champagne.
that other people are in the room. But to get us started, obviously, I know you very well, but for our audience, tell me a little bit about Kelly.
Well, Paulette, I really hate talking about myself. I'd much rather talk about you. I'm much more comfortable talking about other people than myself. But I guess to summarise it, I'm probably a country girl at heart. I grew up on a farm with dirt roads all around us growing up, and that was probably a really special way to grow up when I think back. I'm also a sister, so I have a sister Abby who I work with, which I'm very fortunate to get along.
Got it in common. Yep.
Everybody goes, I can't believe that you guys don't fight. And if you ask any of our staff, we get along. Like we always have. It's a bit like you and Ness, which you know how that rolls. And I'm a wife, so I'm married, and I have 2 children, and they're 15 and 12. So so it's that usual. I'm in that usual juggle that lots of other working parents are, where you're juggling, being on school committees and running a business and doing all these other things. So
amazing. The start of Edible Bloom started in your garage, and something that kind of we all start small. We all start as this idea that kind of turns into something amazing. Tell me about that journey from having the idea to having the guts to leave a full-time job. I'm going to get you to cover that first, and then I'm going to kind of cover that piece where then you quickly grew. You kind of move from this lifestyle, do it in the back of a shed, to, now this beautiful pink building down the road that's, that's kind of 10 times bigger than what maybe you would have thought when you first started. So give me the walkthrough of going from the permanent job to I've got an idea, to the shed, to now bigger than Ben Hare.
Well, it's probably an interesting story, and I think it's really relevant for anyone listening who wants to start a business, because I'm not an advocate of jumping straight out of your day job into a side hustle. I think you need to test it, and you need to do it as that side hustle to begin with, to see if it's got legs. So I was pretty fortunate. I was working for one of the top tier law firms, and I was in my early 20s, and I kind of look back and I was 24 and earning a 6-figure salary, which is pretty amazing. This is 25 years ago.
Very good.
So a long time ago. And I was actually fortunate. I went and worked for the East Coast offices, and I was working 4 days a week as a consultant to them at 24. And I was then had a day a week where I was looking at business ideas. So I literally started all my research as a side hustle on that 1 day a week that I'd freed up. And I kept consulting for the first 8 months I started the business. It was really hard, but back then I had no children. I could work, and I've always been a workaholic. I love working, so so I really would advocate for getting your hands dirty while you've still got a day job,
and test the idea first.
Test the idea and make sure it's got legs. Mine had legs really quickly. Edible Blooms took off. It wasn't easy. It wasn't a smooth sailing by any means, but I think we did $1 million in our first full financial year of trading, which was pretty good. And a lot of that I was still consulting. So it was a really hectic first year. And my sister joined me soon after. That helped. Our first employee, Sarah, is our business partner in New Zealand. I've worked with her for 21 years now. So, so there's a few little lucky breaks of finding the right people around you to make that work. But yeah, I just think you've got to put your toe in both camps, because not every idea is a good one.
It's not. And I think that's great, very kind of sanguine advice, is test it and see if other people will love it, because that's
because you do doesn't mean everyone else will.
It's the best test to see if it will go off quickly, and if you can do that, hustle outside the job that you've already got. Your ability to think big, I think, is probably the most extraordinary I come across. You inspire me every day, because you don't just think safe. You think, you think about the end potential goal, but that's risky, and kind of that tips around doing that. So, I remember sitting with you one day and you're like, oh, I think we'll do a Charlie and the Chocolate Factory garden, or this vision that you've got to always keep striving, to always keep trying to do better. But very quickly you move from 1 million, to a lot bigger. That drive to kind of move past that lifestyle business to a bigger business, you kind of skip through that messy middle a little bit. What do you do to inspire yourself to always be thinking what's next and what's bigger?
Well, that's a great question, Paulette, because I still feel like I'm stuck in the messy middle and I've got a long way to go. I think there's a couple of things. One is, in those early days, I would call it naivety. Like, I didn't know what wasn't possible, and I was really young. I was in my late 20s when I started Edible Blooms, and so I don't think that I had the constraints that I do now. I think that now I'm a mother of 2 children and I have a mortgage and I have all those other things. I do think my risk taking is more calculated, but I think in those early days it was very much, let's just do it, let's roll the dice and see what happens. So I think I can see my own risk taking approach is really different, but also I probably have learned a lot, and I think what I didn't know back then was a real strength. Because I think if you don't know all the things that could go wrong, then you kind of just skip past them and they don't happen, if that makes sense. So I actually love that thing.
The naivety was a strength.
The naivety is great. I think it should be embraced, and I think people who have it, don't hold them back, let them run with it, because they'll probably achieve more than we would ever achieve ourselves, because we're constrained a little bit more now. But having said that, like, being stuck in the messy middle, it is interesting, and I feel like the messy middle gets bigger and bigger. So I think we all want to keep growing our businesses, but then we get to that next stage of growth and we hit that revenue target that we've got, and then we go, I still need to scale more. Like, there's this need, and I think that the costs of doing business are pushing that pressure on a lot of businesses that you have to grow to survive. So, so we've taken a fairly ambitious approach in the last 2 years, and we've acquired 2 other businesses. So we've taken an acquisition-based strategy to grow. And I think when I really assessed what options we had in the market, continuing to organically grow our business really wasn't an option to really consolidate, because we now have a national footprint. We've got multiple locations. We're in every capital city. I've got staff there. I've built a V8 engine that needs to be fed. So, so to keep growing that and keep fueling that efficiently, to move to solar power, or electric, then you've got to be really smart about the decisions you make. And so we had a small acquisition, so I think again it's just starting small, testing it out. And we did a small acquisition 18 months ago. We really learned, and we actually realised we were quite good at it. So then we did another acquisition just before Christmas, which is quite a sizable business. And this gives us the scale, and it gives us it creates it. To be honest, it's really interesting. I'm enjoying it. It's stretching my abilities, and I'm enjoying that growth path. So I think I've kind of answered it in a long way, but hopefully that covers a couple of...
No, it's great. It's starting to think about it now from a leverage perspective, because you've got the costs, and it's looking at those similar pieces, and you either try and do that yourself or you acquire. And I think the acquisition strategy for you worked well.
And it was the right timing too. I couldn't have done that in the early days. I probably would have fallen over. But for now, now it felt right, and it has been the right strategy for us.
Yeah, that's great. Do you look, in that growth from, 1 million up, towards greater to where you are today, do you see that there are stages, and then what kind of advice would you give based on those stages? Like, what were the things that were important when you were a bit smaller to maybe the next level to then preparing for acquisition? So as you think through those stages, what were kind of some of the different things that you noticed you were focusing on from your business? Because I think you've had clear kind of stages because you've grown. What were they for you, and what did you see as being some of those differences?
I think for Abby and I, as well as our team, it's the ability to grow and stretch with the change as you go through those stages. So we've invested a lot in learning and development, some of that through BespokeHR, which has been excellent. And in the early days, it was things, simple things to educate our team how to have a difficult conversation, but whereas now we put all of that in a CX team. And to be honest, I think it's actually then that systemization piece that comes out of that, because my customer service is probably a good example of that. Once upon a time, all of my stores would take all the calls that related to their state, whereas we now centralise that in a team, and they are just dedicated and experts at that particular part of the business. So when we started, we had to be jacks of all trade, and then you start getting specialisations within the business. So customer service is probably a good little case study of how that's changed for us. And then when we were in COVID, which was a really interesting time for any business, it really accelerated our business considerably. And I look back, and it's probably that system piece and actually using systems to scale. We weren't quite ready for that at COVID, and so we threw a lot of people at the problem. So my customer service team was enormous, it was huge. And I look back, and because it was such a busy, frenetic time, we were just band-aiding stuff. As soon as we came out of COVID, I looked at the size of that team, and I was like, I can't afford to keep that size team in this business any longer. So we really looked at how to systemise that team, but also deeper than that, it wasn't just how to use systems, it was actually how do I get to the root cause? What are the problems causing the inquiries, etc.? And we've really zeroed in on that, and it's going to that root cause to fix something, and then that gives system and scale too. So because if you just let those things bubble over and you keep band-aiding those friction points in your business, you can't scale. So you've got to go to root cause, and then you've got to put in a system at the same time.
I'm going to talk about being the early adopter of systems, but you just picked up on something that I love that you just do effortlessly. You look for friction points in your business, and you get quite hands-on. So I remember some of the stories when you literally are on the ground checking the logistics, because it's only when you do that that you go, oh, why have we got this? And we redesign the floor to actually relook at what that is. Or in the customer service team, if there's a point of friction, it's looking at the cause of that.
And what's happening with our deliveries for customers, so it gets their first time on time, all those things.
And I think as founders, sometimes it's something we don't often look for. We're looking at the revenue, we're looking at some of the other areas, but we're not actually looking at what is the friction within our business and how can we solve it. And I think that's something that you do absolutely effortlessly. And from the beginning of your business, you went, I want to embrace technology, and probably being one of the first initial e-commerce businesses to use it to the extent of other businesses. What were some of those learnings that you did, and what kind of made you get into systemizing that business from day dot? Because I think you're such an early adopter of it.
I would say it starts with data. We're a very data-led business, and so you have to measure something, and you have to have your eye on a particular KPI in the business in order to fix it. So just using customer service is a really passionate thing, because customer service is a really important part of our business. So we started measuring, and we get a weekly report. I still look at it every week. How many issues we've got in all of our stores? Are they quality store, or like a human error? Are they a website error? What's causing it? So again, we're getting back to those root causes, and how do we fix? Because if I can take 10 errors out a week with one fix, that's my desired outcome. But we've got it down to such a level now that we have less than 0.75% returns and compensations. So good. And it's actually been that consistently measuring, looking at the data. And the other thing that really helped us to get to this because I don't know many businesses would have such a low, especially when we're sending out hundreds of parcels every day, and so less than 0.05% of an error rate, compensation or refund, is exceptionally low, but it is important because I then get my customers coming back again because they have a good experience with us. But the other part of that was when we were getting that feedback in at one point as a business, and this might seem really logical, but suddenly when you look, you go, why wasn't I thinking of this before? But we weren't sharing the customer feedback with our stores that we're sending out. Yes. So we were just fixing it in this, trying to not bother them, trying to get it all working really well. But it was actually also that piece of sharing that information with the people who are on, like, touching our customers every day. That had a big shift in results. So and they still see it every week, even though there's not much to see, but it makes them feel good. So now they look at it and they go, we're awesome. What
gets measured gets managed.
Exactly.
And so I think it's knowing how you're doing that and being able to give that back so you can make better decisions, I think. So
also picking the right data, that's the other piece. It's like you don't want to look at every piece of data at your business all the time because you'll just get overwhelmed too. So it's picking, we have 5 KPIs in our business that really make a difference. So it's just narrowing it down, what matters.
And have you found that has changed, or has it stayed relatively consistent?
Those KPIs are pretty consistent actually for us.
But it's good to, I think, the top 5, isn't it? Because you can get overwhelmed with all things, but it's really kind of, I think, narrowing something down consistently that you're looking at that gives you some trends. Cool things with your team. So moving a bit to leadership, and I know you do lots of fun things in the office, and it's such an important value to your business because it's about bringing happiness, to your clients or your customers as well as your teams. What are some of the cool things you do with your team, and how do you bring fun to your organisation?
Well, this is probably a really good core value for Abby and I because we do like to have a good time. So, and Abby's really good at it. She's really funny. So she's definitely got the sense of humour of the two of us, which is great. But honestly, being in business such a long time, we've changed it, and I find that's probably the one thing I have learned of being in business for such a long time is you can do something for your team, but you can't keep doing it because it's got to change because they get bored of it. But one thing that has stuck for quite a while now, I've been doing it for this one's probably lasted the longest. We call them our Rockstar Awards, and actually they're being handed out today while I'm here with you.
Nice.
So usually I do it, but Abby and Annie in our team are handing them out today. So people, when they see a colleague or someone in their team, so it can be someone interstate in another store, we love those. They send me an email and they say, I want to nominate Paulette for being a rock star because she's gone above and beyond to do X, Y, Z. And it does a couple of things. One is it's our eyes and ears to know what awesome things are happening in our different locations because we're not physically there. So that's actually a real challenge in our business.
You've got the satellite,
Yeah, it is. And so we get to see what's going on. If I don't get a nomination from a team, I'll go, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
So it's a real point of checking in. Then we celebrate that. So every fortnight we have a team-wide Teams meeting. All my leaders from all my different locations, Darlene and New Zealand as well. And we share who our rock stars are for that period. If we have only 6 or 7, we give an overall, but today I've got 12.
Oh, so good.
I know, it's so good. So they know we just got 12 amazing rock stars. And so they all get shouted out in front of all their colleagues, which is, I think, the most important thing. Like, everyone sees that they've done something awesome, and I think it inspires great behaviour too.
It does.
Because people see other people doing great things, they want to do it too. So it's really a positive reinforcement in that way. And then we just give them a gift voucher, and I handwrite the card and tell them
it's
why.
It's the little personal things that you do, because you do that for Christmas too.
I handwrite everything, birthday cards through the year, everything. So I handwrite to every team member. I think it means a bit more than just a typed letter. So I handwrite the message to say thanks for being a rock star, and I also tell them who nominated them in the card as well, and on the nomination with all the team, because we also once a year celebrate who's nominated the most, because that's a great person in our team too. So the person that's actually celebrating others. So so that's what we do. It's really simple, it's easy.
And it works.
It's really nice. It works on lots of levels.
And I love your other little things like, your potato days and your your little lunch days where you're celebrating.
I love cooking.
And everyone kind of brings things in as well. And
Yeah.
I think it's not always about the employers providing everything.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
It's
Yeah.
actually getting people to
Everyone contributes.
and look forward to something that doesn't have to necessarily be expensive.
Yeah.
But
it's just really nice. We do like toast. We have a big like thing set out in the kitchen, and everyone brings different fillings, and everyone brings all sorts of really interesting things, and then everyone puts their combinations together, and then it's a really good chat about what they put in there. Or we do baked potatoes. We change it up. Sometimes we do chicken salads. It's just fun.
It moves around.
Yeah.
The leadership habits that help you lead your team effectively. What have you found, I guess, things that are important to you as you've grown the team? What are those kind of standards you don't walk past and you deal with quickly if you see them?
Yeah.
And kind of, you growing as a leader, what have you noticed as you've grown and got bigger?
Well, first of all, the thing I have learnt, and it comes to recruitment, which Bespoke, but it's really around employing people who are good humans. And so
start from the beginning.
Starting with people who are actually intrinsically good humans, like they want to be good people. Then, because it makes it really easy then, because for Abby and I, we genuinely really love our team. So, and I hope they all feel that care, because I think that helps a lot. So genuinely, I really love the team. So that makes a big difference, and it makes it enjoyable for all of us to go to work every day. And what I probably have learnt is that when you get someone who isn't that right fit, that's when people stop enjoying going to the office so much. And
it stands out, doesn't it?
Yeah, and so it's making sure you maintain that fit where you have good people wanting to do good things in your business. The other thing that I think really helped me as a leader, I mentioned before that when we got manically busy during that pandemic period, we sort of threw people at it. We could just hire people and fix it, and we could get the jobs done. What really I noticed when we scaled our numbers, we have about 70 staff at the moment that work with us, but we got to well over 100 during that period. And I noticed communication was really important, and I don't think we did it as well as we should have. So we now have a really clear cadence of communication across the business, and that has taken, again, friction, noise away from the business, because there's just these really clear channels of how we do things, and we have set agendas. So the other thing is not holding a meeting without an agenda. So our Monday morning, we have a strategy check-in meeting with our leadership team every morning.
And that's super structured, isn't it?
Very structured. But again, I changed that too. It's not the same forever. I probably every quarter there's new themes, whereas we go to a next 90-day rolling period of goals. We've just done this Monday, because we're at the end of the quarter. I've done a reflection, and we did a high five of what have we achieved as a team in Q1. So, and it was a real wow, everyone, look at what we've achieved. This is amazing, because it's also that reflecting back. And it doesn't have to be any more than that, but just to say, hey, well done, everyone. And here's our top 10 for the next quarter. This is what we're moving on with. And so that meeting's excellent. And then we used to do it every week with our store leaders on a Tuesday, but we've now moved that to fortnightly. So we have weekly for leadership, fortnightly with our store teams. And then once a month we have a check-in on how did we do on the previous month. So those sort of
and you run quite religiously on 90-day sprints. You've been doing that for some while, and I know that works well for your business with the amount of projects that you've got.
And also, just so that anyone else is working on 90-day sprints, you don't always get everything done.
No, you don't. I think
it's okay.
It's okay. But you reassess and you look at why, and that also is pretty informative as well.
And usually you get something else done. If you haven't got something done, it's because you've squeezed something else in that came up. So, and that's
or
okay
definitely
too.
You have, because you do about 20 more things than
we
most
get a lot
people.
Done. No, we do. I know that's part of our culture, is we're really good doers, and we get things done.
You take action, I think. And I don't think I know anyone who moves faster than you do. Just back on your meetings, so I think it's important. One of the things that you do is you get your team to fill things in. It's a really important point, I think,
I don't
with
fill
a weekly
anything out
meeting.
For the Monday morning meeting.
They do it themselves. And I think people underestimate the importance of that, because if you're just producing it for them, they don't kind of connect to it, whereas each of your team put something in each week, don't they?
Well, actually, do you know, this was really quite liberating for me. I have mentors that help me through, different stages of the business growth. And someone said to me, Kelly, you should be attending every meeting with the goal that you don't walk away with any to-do items.
Yeah.
And I was like, what?
Oh, great advice. I love that.
I'm like, I have to do everything. Like, I get things done.
Yeah.
And then I was like, so I tried it out. It's amazing.
Very liberating. It's great advice.
And so then when I do take things on, I really consider about what it is I'm taking on.
Yeah. That's really good. Looking back, what has been the most difficult scaling lesson that you've had to learn, and how did it change the way you lead? So what's been a difficult scaling lesson?
Look, I think I've touched on a little bit of it. Look, coming out of COVID was really challenging for our business. We went from being what's hot to what's not, like literally overnight. And that was a really difficult time for us. And I can probably talk about it a bit more because we're out of it. So we're back on our growth trajectory again. But it's a really hard time for any business because it's not a straight line. No. It's a really wiggly line. And so, and around that time, as we were coming out, we decided we needed to redo all of our e-commerce systems. And so we were in this really big project to redesign all of our systems. And this is a big investment piece for us as a business. I think we would spend about $300,000 on this, this system project. And we tested it out in New Zealand, like the technology we rolled out, and it failed. And I had the mothership that it was being rolled out to next in Australia, and I just could not. I didn't have the trust in that system to roll it out here. Conversion was down. It just had all these issues, and I had to pull the pin on that project, and we'd been working on it for 6 months. We'd had all these consultants in the business.
It's expensive.
It was really expensive
time
and
sucker.
so to shelve a really big project like that, I've never had to do that. And it wasn't great walking home to my husband to tell him that I was going to shelf a project that I've been talking it up. I've been so excited about it, and we all had been. And that was a really tough time.
Punch in the stomach, isn't it? And a lot of money and cash down the drain. But you make that call. Do I keep moving when I know it's wrong, or do I pull out of it?
It's actually the hardest thing you can possibly do, because you're really saying I failed.
Yeah.
And that's a really difficult thing to do. So that was probably one of my biggest challenges, but I now look back in hindsight and that was the right thing to have done. Yeah. I actually think if we hadn't have done that, we could have been in all sorts of pain as a business. We're already in a tough trading period, and it would have made it a much harder turnaround for us. So, and because once you go into that system, and the other thing is you get stuck into these long-term contracts with providers and all this, and it would have been very difficult to back out of it. So it was definitely the right thing to do.
Good decision.
Yeah, but hard.
As an organisation that leads the field in customer experience, what have you learned about customer experience, and what is that founders can maybe apply to their business? Because I think the customer experience is something that you're constantly looking at and you excel in. And I think founders that are missing that piece are missing out significantly. What advice would you give around customer experience?
I would say regularly put yourself in your customer's shoes. So I'm one of my own best customers. I send a lot of edible blooms. And every time I do, I'm really, like, I sent one for my son. He met someone in Sydney recently who helped him, so we sent an edible bloom. And actually, I sent the delivery link to him so he could keep an eye on it. So I actually think regularly putting yourself in your customer's shoes is probably the best thing you can do, because I sort of watch it and I see what came to me as a confirmation. How was that experience tracking the delivery? Was it easy to do? Did it arrive on time? All those things.
Cross-check yourself. Yeah, I love that. With all you know today, if you were going back and doing anything differently with edible blooms, what would you do differently?
It's a really good question, because God, it's changed a lot in 21 years, Paulette.
I know.
Back when I started this business, e-commerce was like this wild thing that you might contemplate being part of. So look, if I was starting a business now, I would be leaning heavily into AI. We're doing a lot with AI at the moment. I love it. It's so fascinating. I know you're really into it as well. It is the coolest thing ever. And I think it's harder to embrace when you're older. Like, you know, like as a mature business person versus someone starting out. So I think there's a total edge for people starting out, that they've got an edge over us. So we've got to work harder to match what they
Shift
can
will
do.
be shifted, isn't it, when it comes to AI?
So AI is a big one. And the other thing that I'm seeing at the moment is a trend, and I need to lean into this more myself, because as I said, I don't love talking about myself a lot, but I think a founder-led voice is really important.
A brand. The brand.
People want real humans behind things, and to be honest, in the early days of Edible Bloom, it's probably one of the reasons we were successful early on. I'd leaned into it because I was a young female. I had a great edge from a media perspective. We got a lot of traditional media coverage back in the day, and it helped us to grow the brand. And we've been part of some amazing ad campaigns in our time with Telstra Business Awards and Telstra Business and all sorts of different things. So I think a founder-led voice is really important, and people want to connect with you. So that's probably the two things.
It's great advice, actually, and it's particularly more important because I think people can spot some of the AI, and it's pretty close. But I think that the storytelling behind the brand is critical. And connectable. So great advice. Couple of rapid 3 questions, Kel.
Sure.
What's one business rule you would give every founder right now?
Okay, this is super easy. So I have a 90% rule, which is that you don't aim for perfection. So
you move quick.
I move fast.
Quick.
So I move to a point, and my team will talk about this. They'll say, I'm like, right, let's get it live. And they were like, no, we've still got to get some. I'm like, no, we're getting it live, and then we'll hear from customers, and we'll keep improving it.
Iterate, but get it out there.
It will take twice as long to get it to market. Someone might beat me in there. It's only a tiny little thing on our website or whatever, but I want to be in there testing it, getting feedback straight away. So I'm big on that. Get to 90%. You'll get things done in half the time.
And you'll learn more.
And you'll learn a lot more.
I love that. I know our good friend Mark is a big, Mark Roundoff is a big fan of that. Just
that's why
test it to the market, and that's your best thing that you can potentially do. What about females? I know your story has been great, and I've been blessed to kind of be a small part of that. But female founders, what advice would you tell them?
Great question, Paulette, because you and I both know that less than 2% of early stage capital goes to female founders, and that's something that really bugs both of us.
Yes.
So that's a number we'd love to see change. I actually think women should be using their gender as an advantage at the moment. I think there is a true advantage for female leadership, because if you put your hand up to be on a board, if you've got equal skills, you're probably going to get a bit of an edge at the moment, but you should only be there for merit. I only want to be there for merit. I don't want to be there because of gender, but if I've got equal skills, I think it's great if a female gets chosen for that opportunity, because I think gender balance is incredibly important.
So put your hand up. Maybe even if you don't have everything, put your hand up.
Yeah, absolutely. But also, ask for capital. Don't be afraid to ask for things, because I think women often wait until everything's perfect. Leading back to the last question, I think when you're 70% there, just put your hand up and see how you go.
And it's not a natural skill. Like as mothers, as founders, as things that we're doing, asking for help is sometimes seen as a failure. And so we try and do it all on our own, don't we? And so I think that's great advice, because it's actually what most men would do without question. But us doing it is, are we good enough to ask for it? So that's great.
Absolutely.
How do you stay positive? I'm throwing this in. You are potentially, what we see here is exactly what I see every day. It's something that is such a strength, because you are half glass full. You are looking at the opportunity.
Always.
But you're actually like that a lot.
All the time.
What are your
I think it drives my husband mental.
Because I actually think it's part of the radiation that people want to be around you, because you actually have that energy all the time. But when things are tough and challenging, you actually still are relatively cool, calm and collected.
Always calm.
What's your tips for doing that? Being positive, being calm. What's some of the things that you might do that help contribute to being like that?
A couple of things probably. I don't deliberately do it. It's just probably inherently who I am. But I think two things. One is I practice gratefulness, so I'm very grateful for...
It's a morning routine?
Yeah, I have a morning routine. I like to reflect on grateful moments every morning. And the other, I had another thing, and I'm just trying to, you might have to edit this little bit out.
I'm going to help you with it because I talk to you in the morning. I also think you have a great brat pack. You've got some brat packs around you and mentors that I think you absolutely have that help fuel you for different things, I think. So
yeah, I think so too. So
and you work on those. They're not just there. Like, you actively work on the people in your life, and you actually care about them.
Yes. And I actually deliberately choose people who make me feel good to have around me. So you're right about that, Paulette. I think if you've got someone around you, you're as good as the 5 people that are closest to you. You know, you can only be as good as those people you surround yourself with. So I do surround myself with great people. But the other thing I think as well to add to that mix is when a problem comes along, I don't freak out. I kind of go, there's a solution to this, we've just got to find it.
Yeah, and you're confident about that.
Yeah, I'm really confident
even
about
from
that.
the beginning. You're like, we will get to the end
There's
of this.
There's nothing that cannot be solved.
Yes.
That's a kind of a mental approach I take to everything. And again, that comes back to the people you surround yourself with, because if you have great people around you, if you can't solve it, someone in your network will be able to help you solve it. Or if someone comes to me with a problem, I can generally help them or point them in a direction that will lead them to a path where they can find a solution.
And I say that because sometimes I see female leaders or people wanting to go into leadership roles thinking that they have to be a different way to be successful, and I actually think you don't have to be hard, you don't have to be autocratic, you don't have to not be you genuinely. And if you can actually be positive and you can be solution orientated and you can be calm, they're skills that I think naturally women do better than men. It's actually a superpower.
It totally is.
And I absolutely think that that's one of yours. If you had a one-sentence mantra for scaling leaders, what would it be?
This is really easy. A very dear friend of mine shared this one with me recently, and she said, if not you, who? So that's about being courageous, and it leads on perfectly from what we've just been talking about. So thank you.
Amazing. I think that's that's probably a great way for us to end our podcast. I feel like we could keep chatting forever, as we do every morning. But Kelly, thank you so much for sharing your story. Every time I speak to you, I'm always inspired. But thank you for also inspiring our listeners.
Thank you for having me. It's been wonderful, as always.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us on the Ultimate Leader's Edge. I hope you enjoyed the episode as much as I enjoyed making it. We'd love for you to follow us, like and share so we can reach as many leaders as we possibly can. If you want to go deeper in your leadership journey and stop being the bottleneck, then you can follow us at performancecollectiveacademy.com.